It began with a scream, not from inside the lodge, but from the woods outside. A sharp, blood-curdling scream that echoed through the snow-covered pines. Laura dropped the firewood she was carrying. Her boyfriend, Nate, came rushing to the window. Was that a fox? But she knew it wasn't. Foxes don't scream names. It had said her name. They were alone, or supposed to be. The lodge was off-grid. No phone signal, no Wi-Fi, and buried under 3 feet of snow. It was meant to be a romantic escape. But now the fire crackled too loudly. The shadows moved too much. And the pines outside, they swayed when there was no wind. Midnight. Laura couldn't sleep. There was scratching in the walls. Then a voice, faint, ragged. "Let me in." She shook Nate awake, but he was stiff, eyes open, unblinking, mouth whispering. She's already inside. 2:45 a.m. She lit every candle she had. The power was still out. She heard footsteps upstairs, but they hadn't been upstairs. She opened the door to the master bedroom. Snow was falling inside. From the ceiling, a pile of snow, and something under it, twitching. She backed away. From under the snow, a hand reached out, identical to hers. Flashback. 1 year ago. Laura had been here before, but not with Nate. She'd come on a solo retreat after her sister Emily had gone missing in these woods. That time, she'd dreamed of someone calling her from the trees. This wasn't her first visit. It was her second chance. Or perhaps, their second chance. At 3:33 a.m., Nate was gone. His clothes were in the bathtub, wet, as if he had melted, carved into the bathroom mirror. The trees remember the blood. She ran, no coat, just socks, into the snow, toward the edge of the forest. That's when she saw the other cabin. It hadn't been there before. Lights on, chimney smoking. She ran inside and froze. Everything inside the second cabin was the same as the first. Same furniture, same fireplace, same photo of her and Nate. But in this one, she was smiling. Nate was not. And behind them in the picture was someone else, someone with no face. Inside the second lodge, footsteps upstairs. She tried to leave, but the door was gone. The windows showed different trees. The snow outside was black. The fireplace roared. And in the flames, faces screamed. She turned, and there he stood. Nate, or something that wore Nate's face. "Why did you leave her?" it asked. She backed up. "You left her to die in these woods." Behind him, a woman appeared. Hair matted, skin cracked like bark. Eyes hollow. Emily, or what was left of Emily. "You didn't come back for me," she whispered, and then the trees came inside. Branches through the floorboards, roots wrapping her legs, the windows shattered. Snow swirled inward. The last thing Laura saw was herself, standing at the window, smiling. 1 week later, rescue crews found the original lodge, empty. No signs of forced entry, no tracks. But on the upstairs mirror was a message: "The pines don't sleep." When Alex moved into apartment 407, the landlord gave one warning: "Don't take the elevator after midnight." At first he laughed. It sounded like superstition, but the landlord wasn't joking. "There's no third floor in this building," he added. "If the elevator stops there, don't get out." Day 1. The apartment was small but clean. Neighbors were quiet. Too quiet. That night, Alex stayed up late unpacking. At exactly 12:07 a.m., he heard the elevator ding. He opened the door. No one was there. He leaned out and saw the elevator door slowly closing. He rushed, held it open. Inside, it read 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There was a 3. But what he was told, the building had no third floor. He pressed 3. The button turned red. The elevator descended. When the doors opened, it was pitch dark. Not like a normal unlit hallway. This darkness was heavy, like it absorbed light. The air smelled of damp concrete and rot. He stepped out. The hallway was longer than it should have been. Doors lined both sides, all unnumbered, all slightly open. From one room, a woman whispered, "You're not supposed to be here." He backed up. The door creaked wider. Inside, dozens of hands on the walls, twitching, reaching. He ran back to the elevator, but it was gone. He ran down the hallway. At the end, a mirror. No reflection. Instead, the mirror showed him, standing outside his apartment, banging to be let in. His voice came from the mirror. "Please don't let it in." He turned around. Behind him, a shape, tall, thin, wrapped in elevator cables. Its face a metal plate, dented, scratched, sparking. It whispered, "Next time, knock." He woke up on the floor of his own apartment, morning light streaming in. Was it a dream? But his socks were soaked, and his shirt smelled like rust and mildew. Day 3. He tried telling the landlord. The man's face went pale. "You pressed 3, didn't you?" He nodded. "You've seen it now. It'll want you back." Night 4. He barricaded his door, slept with the lights on. But at 3 a.m. the lights flickered. The power cut out. The hallway outside his door lit up. Ding. Floor 3. Something slid a note under his door. Tenants must return what they've taken. But he took nothing. Right? He checked his backpack, his jacket, his fridge. Inside the fridge, wrapped in a towel, was a human hand, still twitching. Panic. He tried to leave. The stairwell looped. Floor 2 led to floor 4. Floor 4 led to floor 2. He tried calling the cops. No signal. Every time he opened his apartment door, it wasn't his hallway anymore. Sometimes it was just darkness. Sometimes it was himself, standing on the other side. Final night. The elevator door opened on its own. Inside, mirrors on all sides. In the reflection, Alex had no face, just a blank, pulsing surface. He screamed. The mirrors cracked. From the cracks, eyes stared back. The 3rd floor is hungry. The elevator closed. 1 week later, a new tenant moved into 407. She asked about the elevator. The landlord paused, then smiled weakly. "Just don't press 3. Final night, elevator door. Mirrors, no face, screamed. Mirrors cracked. Eyes stared back. 3rd floor hungry. New tenant, elevator, landlord. Don't press 3. The front door creaked open with a groan that echoed too long. Dust danced in the amber light pouring through the broken windows of Cradle Hill Nursery. The air was thick with the scent of soot, mildew, and something faintly sweet, like decayed candy. Danny stepped in first, flashlight sweeping across melted toys and crumbling art. Crayon drawings of children smiling under burning suns covered the walls, some half-charred, others somehow untouched. Julia followed, arms crossed, teeth clenched. She whispered, "Why does it still smell like kids?" In the far corner, a baby mobile swayed gently above a half-burned crib. There was no wind. They moved deeper. The nap room was worse. Tiny beds were lined up neatly. Above one crib, scorched words were scratched into the wall. He never slept. A soft cry echoed through the hall. Not a child. Not exactly. It was slower, wet, like lungs filled with tar. Chris turned on the camera. The cry stopped. A door creaked open behind them. Inside, a doll in a crib, limbs missing, face cracked. Julia reached out. The doll was warm. Chris stepped away to film the hallway. On the camera's screen, a figure appeared, small, blackened, with hollow sockets where eyes should be. When he turned, nothing was there. He played back the footage. The figure blinked, the footage distorted. Whispering poured from the speakers. "He's hungry. He's cold. Feed him." The lights flickered. The hall stretched longer than before. Doors on either side opened one by one with a soft click. A voice from one of the rooms. "Where's Mommy?" They ran. The front door led into another hallway. Then another. No way out. They reached a room filled with feeding chairs, bolted to the ground. Chains dangled from the arms. Feeding tubes crusted with black sludge still hung from the ceiling. Julia backed away but stepped on something soft. A pile of children's shoes, each pair labeled. One read, Julia F. Her scream echoed, but came back to her in a child's voice. Chris was gone. Danny found the boiler room. The door slammed shut. Inside, the furnace blazed to life. Faces in the fire screamed. Tiny arms reached out from the flames. He tried to run, but his feet were sinking into soft, sticky ash. He cried as fire licked around him. When Julia found him, he was curled in a corner, bleeding from his fingertips. "Don't touch them," he said. "They crawl inside and wear your arms like sleeves." Julia fled. She found the office. Papers blackened. One drawer held a VHS tape labeled, Feeding the Quiet One. She played it on an old TV. The screen flickered to life. A crib. A shadow hovered above it, limbs too long, head swaying unnaturally. The child inside twitched, then stopped. The shadow turned to the camera. Julia dropped the tape. Chris appeared behind her. His eyes were gone. He held a doll. It moved in his arms. Its mouth opened, and her own voice screamed from it. "I fed him," Chris said. Julia ran to the exit. This time the door opened, but outside was wrong. The nursery stood, burned and twisted, under a blood-red sky. Ash fell like snow. Cribs were scattered across the yard, each holding blackened bones. Above them, the mobile spun, made of teeth, ribs, and hair. She looked down. Her arms were empty. A crib rocked behind her. Something inside whispered, "Sing us to sleep."